Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WGLEU Season 2 for 2015 and 2016. It's now match week number 5. Oliver Maxfield, of course, joining me as usual. And I don't want to jump too deep into the games coming up tonight, but I guess we can say that there are some very, very big matches tonight.
Yeah, especially the first match of the day. It's going to be a truly fantastic game, maybe one of the best games of the season. So really looking forward to that. And, well, we've got the last match week ahead of us.
Well, of course, if maybe you might be having some trouble hearing Ollie at the moment, the mic's not working, so we'll hopefully get that sorted in a second. But let's say hello to Melly now while we can, because very, very happy, all smiles today, Melly. Of course, making some good progress made on your master's thesis.
Absolutely, yes. I kind of finished the first draft, and it feels really good for Monday, and we have tanks as well. So tanks, and my master's almost done. And you guys, of course, thank you for joining us. So how about just getting into the madness before even the game start? Head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU, and get yourselves involved in our voting, where you have to vote for your favorite team. Choose the regarding team logo if it's Kazna or Tornado for the first matchup, and predict the exact scoreline for this match to get your chances of winning a bonus code. So we're giving away 3 of them, containing 500 gold and 7 days or 8 days of premium. I still haven't figured out, but something around that. It's 7 days. You sure? Something. It makes sense, of course, but not everything we do makes sense. You have to agree on that, right? I think it's 8 days, but I'll check it to finally have an answer to that question. But yes, it's premium and gold. That's the only thing that matters, and it's free, and you can win it. So get involved. Also, if you don't have Facebook, don't be sad. Head over to Twitter. Use the hashtag WGLEU. You should see it behind me at some point. But yes, WGLEU isn't too hard. And of course, at WGLEU, follow our Twitter account to stay updated during the matches, because I will keep you on track with live updates. Even if you can't follow the games on the server or on our stream, don't be sad. As said, I will spam you with all the results and happenings. And yes, and of course, don't forget to follow our Twitch channel. Follow through clicking the button below. I'm literally out of words. I wrote almost 22,000 words, and I'm out of words. I can talk. I hope. Bear with me. Twitch chat will kind of manage it. And as said, follow our Twitch channel to get notified as soon as we're going live the next time, since you're already here.
Well, there you have it. Melly, of course, she's a very happy little buttercup. So happy that she didn't want to wear a blazer today. She's actually going for the
I didn't feel like it.
Doesn't feel like the blazer's just going to wear that piece of leather. It's good. I like it. It's a nice little style.
It's like a bikey little look. I wish I could wear a leather jacket, to be fair, but
we should have worn a leather jacket, to be honest.
I mean, wearing cologne. You're allowed to
latex
wear
leather, whatever you like, you know.
Oh, don't get started on that topic again, Ollie.
2014 topic.
Spandex, maybe.
Oh boy, 2 seasons. He was
yeah.
2 seasons sitting here. I kind of want to wear latex
That was you and Lauren.
No, you said it.
It wasn't me at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, all right. The rabble is already roused, ladies and gentlemen, and this just in, Oliver wants to wear latex panties. But anyway, let's have a look at the results from the games from Thursday night. We can bring those up for you guys and see exactly how things went down. And Oliver, Kazna were looking strong there as well, but Tornado rocked somewhat disappointing.
Yeah, that's a surprise result of the night for sure. I mean, Ding, they played really well, no mistakes, solid few maps, and Tornado Rocks just super aggressive, unorganized, bad communication, individual skill was also lacking, just a terrible showing for them. And I have to say their season has not been particularly good so far. Strong Siema Panther, last match of the night. I mean, Strong Siema seem to be a stronger team than they have been in the last few match days, but still Panther is that little bit better, and they managed to close out that game with the 3 points.
Yeah, again, not super convincing from Penta, but I guess like we kind of said, they are practicing, of course, for...
They're on their way now.
WCA, yeah, they're either airborne or in transits to China, of course, for the WCA World of Tanks Championships, and Wombats and Tanks will be joining them there from our region. So super proud, obviously, to have those guys representing their regions, of course, from the WGLEU, and good luck to them. But let's have a look at the table now as well and see what the standings were after, obviously, those last nights of games. And Kazna crew looking really damn good right now. Clean sheet, no tiebreakers, nothing there to mess that up for them. And, I mean, Ding and Oops now as well up in that top 4.
Yeah, I mean, Ding last season, really disastrous. We thought they would actually be better. But they've really stepped up so far. And after that good win against Tornado Rocks, they definitely deserve to be in second. Oops as well, new team to the season. Good to see them actually performing. Today, I would like to see exactly how it's going to, go about. Is Tornado Rocks going to get their top 2 spot back? How is, for instance, Out of Range going to play as well? So I think it's going to be an interesting game where the last week of 2015 kind of shapes up.
Well, that's right. Obviously, we're just around the corner from, obviously going on break for Christmas, which would be interesting as well to see, if teams practice or what teams do practice as well. So we might even see a little bit of a shift in dynamic even following that break. But there's the ladder, of course, and Kazna Crew sitting up there as high flyers. Let's now have a look at towards tonight's games as well. And excitingly enough, Kazna Crew will be going up against Tornado Rocks, Oliver, in that first game.
Yeah, that's the game of the day for sure. Obviously, Kazna Crew at the top, Tornado Rocks Continental Rumble winners. With a dream team, a lot of people have been saying Strong Siema getting better, but Ding have really been showing themselves to be a great team this season so far. Utopia Out of Range, another Polish derby, a lot of Polish teams this season, so we're going to be seeing quite a few of them. And I think Out of Range will be wanting to best Utopia, who everyone's been saying are the best Polish team, but of course they also lost against Rusty Roster, so maybe pip to the post to that title.
Yeah, I mean, we probably won't know for a little while who the best team in Poland is going to be, especially with Utopia in their last season having a bit of a decline towards the end of things, if you recall. I mean, they started off strong, but a lot of their matches against those top teams didn't actually occur towards the end, and unfortunately, they were all in a row. So we saw how that one went through, of course, and they did fail to qualify for the finals. Now, let's talk about this first game, of course, Kazna Crew, Tornado Rocks. Let's put it under the microscope here, because Kazna Crew, it's hard to fault them right now. Any seasoned Kazna Crew fan is always going to know that there's an element of uncertainty sometimes coming into their games. As much as they might sort of be, love the team as well, they do know that they are prone to some errors or, maybe some flashes of hot-headedness here.
Yep.
I mean, what's your initial, take on this game? Because Tornado Rocks, who on paper are just the sickest team that we've possibly ever seen in this region, but in game, honestly, looked quite average the other day.
Yeah, I've seen, Tornado Rocks almost lose against Synergy. I've seen them lose against Ding, whereas, every single round, Kazna Crew's been going forwards and getting the good results. They also played Synergy and beat them quite substantially. So they're definitely the better team on paper right now, but of course now Tornado knows that they have to beat Kazna Crew if they want to be getting a top 2, top 3 finish. So maybe they're going to step up their game. Also worth mentioning that Elian's going to play for one of the North American teams at WCA, so he's not in the roster for Kazna. So he kind of screwed his team there a little bit.
Is that just for this period, or is
that is just for this match while they're in China? So FKK Schnitzel's going to be joining in his spot, but still, it's Elian, a core part of the lineup, and the best player in Europe, essentially.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Kazna Crew do sort of go with having lost him now. We're going to be jumping into the game quite soon, of course. Prohorovka to kick things up here as well, which should be good. I mean, Kazna Crew have played this one, at least for the last couple of games that we've seen them on, looked good. I mean, the one round where they looked like they weren't going to be so good, they sort of managed to bring it back. The tank picks, of course, we can show you guys as well. Kazna Crew going with what I'd like to think is starting to become a fairly standard open map lineup. But, importantly, conspicuously, no IS-7 being brought in for them, at least at this stage. Yeah,
well, Kazna Crew likes to play the faster lineups for sure. That's always where they've thrived. You remember, they're not really a kind of tank lineup with heavy tanks kind of team. So good to see that for them. And Rock's gone with T110E5.
All right. I hope you guys are feeling the hype. I am. Just some epic music just to get us started off onto this one. We'll be jumping in the game in just a moment while these teams are still loading in. So you're not missing anything, guys. Don't worry. We're just getting our preview sorted to jump into this game. We'll just make sure that I have that up on screen for you here. But, I mean, Oliver, just talking about the tank picks again before we jump in. There's a T110E5 for Vorsen here, but just the one, of course, as the defending team. Not super uncommon to see them. There, of course, is FKK Schnitzel in the 251.
Yeah, so just going straight to, for that cap, and this might be a nice little play here for Kazna Crew. They are kind of baiting out Tornado Rocks. Lucic actually up in that top right corner. He hasn't spotted FKK Schnitzel, and FKK, I believe, is completely surrounded 360 degrees in that bush camoed. So good stuff from him. We've also got an Object 140, I believe, on that hill, or an STB. That's going to be sitting up there, providing some support for the RU-251, and it looks like Tornado has taken the bait a little bit from Kazna Crew, expecting them to be all on this right side.
So they're literally just going to give away FKK Schnitzel here, potentially. Tornado Rocks have already moved up towards that train line with the spots coming in, and FKK is just going to get absolutely belted. So now Kazna crew, yeah, I mean, they're going to try and come from the side. This is quite an interesting strategy. Positive and Armageddon are lit, and look at the damage now coming in. Armageddon getting absolutely hammered, and Kazna crew seems to have outfoxed Tornado Rocks, at least in that particular maneuver. Vorsa now copying a beating in the middle of the map, and this is beautiful stuff from Kazna, really. They managed to get around behind Tornado Rocks. They've taken it by surprise. What an interesting tactic.
I mean, there's a third facet to this tactic as well, which is Eurofish. As long as he doesn't, jump the gun and go too early, he's also going to be able to provide damage from that right side. So right now, Tornado Rocks is not safe from any angle at all. And, Eurofish, he's probably looking for a pick-off, so he wants one of these tanks to go down to a one-shot, and then he'll be able to unleash all damage he possibly can. And to be fair, I mean, the Armageddon could fall within 5 shells easily. Vorstik as well. Diodor could also go down. So right now, I mean, Kazna crew, a lot, winning those peaks easily, far ahead in terms of damage, and as long as they just maintain, don't screw up, this is going to be a beautiful tactic.
Here's FKK firing as well. You can see a couple of shots going in over towards those tanks. He's fired 2. He's managed to connect one of them, I believe, towards Vorsen. One did miss, and that's another miss there from Eurofish, so he definitely needs to make these shots count. That's one towards positive. Now, Luciquel actually has to commit towards his hill and try and deal with Eurofish in some way, shape, or form. Dural will roll off the hill, maybe just try and sit back towards the south side. So Luciquel has a window here, of course, as that Batchat does have to reload that auto-loader, but still, is that 251 really going to be enough to deal with Eurofish at this stage, Oliver?
Eurofish might just have reload in time. I think he'll need another 10 seconds, but Lucic won't be able to finish him off. And as long as Eurofish stays behind that rock, he will be safe and he will have reload to kill Lucic. So it'll be an RU-251 dead as well for Tornado.
And Lucic bounces that one as well. Not ideal. He's back behind the rock as well. Takes a shot from one of his teammates. Oh dear, Tornado Rocks just not making things happen properly here. Lucic takes a hit from a teammate, goes low. Eurofish is now off reload and he's ready to put that damage back. Luciquel is just trying to bait Eurofish to push around the rock to expose himself to Tornado Rocks, but he's just a little bit too canny to fall for something like that.
Look how much damage, I mean, the whole of Tornado's taken. Obviously, Kazna, they were peaking, so they didn't really take any tanks down from them, but there's just so much damage gone towards them that Kazna crew will surely be able to find a weakness here in Tornado's tanks and take them down. But you can see that T110E5 so resilient from the front.
Yeah, and to be fair, Kazna crew are stalling out a little bit here with their aggression. Fairly even in terms of health points. There comes a bit of a salvo from Kazna. A lot of damage being dealt to Tornado Rocks, and the Armageddon has fallen. Luciquel as well, down to that one shot. So he's going to be in trouble in a few moments here. As Vetso, the man on your screen, he's looking for Vorsen again, but another shot not penetrating. That 110E5 has been able to stay alive for quite a long time here. Health, very, very even. It's a 6v5. Kazna have that extra gun in the game, and Vorsen now will drop to a one-shot. But Hyber is worse for wear. Stefan is low. Nexus now a one-shot. This could be close.
You can see how many easy pickoffs Kazna's getting. I mean, it's getting pretty close in terms of the hit points, and of course the Annihilator on a lot of HP. But they are 2 tanks in terms of tier 8, tier 10s ahead. Obviously, they both lost the RU-251s. Eurofish coming off reload, and FC Dynamo has to be careful that he doesn't get spotted here, because obviously it would be disastrous as Kazna crew can get the side shots. This is nice stuff from Tornado. They got the angles right now.
Yeah, and Vetso coming over as well, missing his shot and then taking 2. So that's really not good. In fact, it's only Isne at the moment that is, well, anything more than a 2-shot. So Kazna have to be very, very careful here, and Tornado Rocks might just be able to win out in the long game. This is a good recovery from them here. Note that, yeah, crucially enough, for Hyber and Isne, the ammo rack there, so be able to fire as quickly as they would like, and then don't seem to be wanting to repair them. No, FC Dynamo towards Eurofish. The first shot is going to go towards Eurofish here if he can connect it. Dynamo, though, actually a little bit quicker on the trigger. And even that shot from Eurofish not connecting. Dynamo getting taken very, very low, though. He'll get the finish on Eurofish, but he's paid a lot of health points to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, he got the kill, he took him out, and because of that relatively long time between shots of the Batchat, it was going to be, his kill altogether. And you can see actually Evetso gets a reload, but doesn't do any damage because of that. He just bounces on the side of the Object 140, and this is going towards Tornado Rocks.
Yeah, I mean, it's super close. You can see that 3 of those remaining 4 Tornado Rocks tanks were 1-shots. Kazna crew, credit to them there as well, bringing out a bit of strategy, something we haven't seen before. And in theory, it looked like it would work, but something just went wrong a little bit there in mid-round. Obviously, you did mention that Tornado looked like they had the angles and they were able to claw things back.
Yeah, I mean, Kazna crew went forwards. They lost a lot of damage going forwards. Lost a lot of HP going forwards. The peak started to go Tornado Rocks' way. The individual plays started to come into the equation. And, Kazna crew got ahead in terms of hit points for sure. But, I mean, Eurofish didn't do enough work on the hill. He missed a few shells there, which definitely didn't help. And considering we had like 3 or 4 tanks there on one-shots at the end, that could have made a big difference. And, I just thought very good work from Tornado Rocks to come back from that situation. Other things to mention, I mean, Vorsic lived too long in that T110E5. I think it bounced 4 shells there or something somewhere around that mark. And, Kazna, they just seemed a little bit shaky towards the end of that round. Mistakes all around. Betzo receiving 707 damage there. And, great tactic, but poor execution, I think.
So, in your opinion, do you think that the strategy from Kazna, which of course was founded on the idea of giving up FKK Schnitzel as a bit of an offering there, was it worthwhile to lose at RU251 to gain that sort of position? I mean, we could see what Luciquel as well was able to do a fair bit of work there, 1,300 damage. He was also able to challenge, I think, Eurofish and keep him a little bit quieter on that bat chat. Is it really worthwhile to throw a tank into the drink like that?
I think it worked out well. I mean, they did more than 1,300 damage back to the Tornado. The RU-25 of Lucique just got taken down pretty easily anyway. It wasn't really a problem for Eurofish. Of course, it delayed him from shooting the tanks in the middle. But I thought, Tornado were pretty clever just to immediately realize they were getting shot from behind and just rotate their tank back onto that hill. So I thought that was good moves. But I mean, you could look at Stefan, obviously the highest damage dealer along with Nexus for Kazna, 378 damage. And everyone from Tornado, apart from Armageddon, did over 1,000 damage, whereas 2 from Kazna didn't. But it was such a close game, it came down to one-shots. Also, it was pretty unfortunate that 2 tanks from Kazna crew got Amaraked, both with Object 140s, which plays a huge role, basically doubling your reload time and makes peaking a lot less vexful.
You did say as well, though, that is quite common to see with those Object 140s. Happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, normally you have a repair kit, right, to get rid of that Amarak. And so either they've used their repair kit already and, they can't repair the Amarak, or they've repaired the Amarak and then got Amaraked again. But that's 2 tanks. Normally, like 1 tank, it happens. But 2 is pretty unfortunate, especially on a map like Prokhorovka when you have to be making those peaks. And Tornado Rocks don't really miss.
Well, let's see now what happens in this second round, of course, on Prokhorovka. Kazna crew going for something a little bit different, a little bit tactical on the attacking side. It didn't work out, but now they'll be on the defense. And again, pick-wise, we do at least see the IS-7 being brought into the mix here for Kazna crew. Double 110E5, though, here for Tornado Rocks. So, they saw what happened with Vorsen last round and actually want to go with the second one there as well, just to sustain through a little bit of that aggression and maybe just bounce a few of those extra shots.
Exactly. I mean, we saw how effective that T110E5 was from the previous round, but now, of course, they're on the attack. It looks like they're sending both through the middle, and Kazna crew obviously now on the defensive side. They have maybe the more easy job to play around with, and with that IS-7, they look like they're just going straight through the middle. And, the same goes for Tornado Rocks. They got all their tanks behind in the south. And just looking at the way Tornado is playing, I mean, this is more of the Tornado we expected to see. And, the Tornado we saw against Ding just wasn't even the same team, in my opinion.
So FKK Schnitzel really pushing very, very deep there as well, trying to light up the entirety of Tornado Rock so Kazna crew can fire at them. And so far it's worked out fairly well. Even the Armageddon right towards the back gets completely disintegrated there. Isne, the one dealing the final blow. Somehow, some way, against all the odds, FKK Schnitzel lasted this long, was able to do a lot of spotting. But I mean, Kazna losing FKK Schnitzel, for Armageddon has to be worthwhile, especially now with Vorsen taking some more punishment.
This seems to me like Kazna crew's overall tactic is just to send the RU-251 forwards, get spots immediately, and then take them down. I guess, with the timing, if you're going to go to that left side, you are going to get spotted if the RU-251 just charges straight across the middle. You could see Tornado as well. They seem to stop their medium tanks to try and snipe across towards Kazna in the middle, and that cost them dearly with the STB-1. So Kazna, about 600 hit points ahead, also with that tier 10 tank down. And considering Tornado has the extra tier 10 heavy, they're doing very well as Lucique does have a good angle though on the hill.
How interesting that Lucique is actually still able to be here, so he can keep Kazna crew spotted down for Tornado Rocks. he hasn't revealed himself yet as far as I can tell. So he'll be an absolute thorn in the side of Kazna crew here. I think there was a shot from him on towards Eastney, but he still hasn't been spotted. And there is more damage going towards Kazna. Tornado Rocks now moving into a bit more of a commanding position. Moving up on the train line. Diodor goes in. He does hit that shot as well. And Kazna are not winning out in the trades now. It does seem like Tornado Rocks, having sat forward after that first little assault from Kazna crew, are now starting to get ahead. Diodor finally taking some damage, but Luciquel, look at all those yellow names from Kazna. They're all lit perpetually.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you need someone here just to actually hold down the southern side. And because Lucique was on the hill, Diodor can just get the peaks easily, get the damage down, and that's brought 2 tanks here down for Kazna crew to one-shots, and one of them does fall. That's Stefan.
Stefan going down. Vetso and Nexus are very, very low as well. And Hyber in the IS-7 trying to deal with 2 T110 E5s here. Not an easy job for anyone. And there's Luciquel. Gets a little snipe, gets the finish off on towards yet another Kazna tank. They're down to 4, and it's not looking good for them.
No, certainly not. I mean, great work here from Positive, despite being a 2 versus 1 situation. Kazna should have taken care of him a little earlier on, but still, Positive will fall in the next shot.
Well, Eurofish there moving forward to try and block the shot, one would have to think, from Positive. Hyber is to a one-shot now. Eurofish can finish Positive, but he's on his own, and Tornado Rock's just decimating Kazna crew there as well. They're trading just seem to be so much on point, which is ironic, Oliver, because it's actually... oh, there's an ammo rack as well, wrecked. Which is ironic, because we really seem to think that Kazna crew's trades are just quite impeccable.
Yeah.
I mean, but this has been strange. I mean, we see them push the 251 forward to get the spots, and this seemed like to start with they fancied themselves a bit of an old sort of a Texas showdown, but then they backed away towards the other side of the map, and Luciquel was already dug in on the hill. I don't know, man.
Yeah, Lucique definitely played the biggest role in that hill. He was doing such fantastic work from the background. He actually did 1.8k damage with 2 kills because, I mean, you saw Yizny trying to flex back to try and take care of Lucique, but he didn't end up going up the hill. And I thought, you know, just having, I think it was Diodor there in the Object 140, shooting over the hill, doing so much damage, shooting over the train line even, that, you know, Kazna crew just lost that trade a lot, and they should have kept Yizny in the background, kept Vetso in the background to make sure that they couldn't peek that southern side. And then you had Positive, who did 2.7k, the highest damage dealer for Tornado Rocks, behind Kazna crew, just working his magic. So yeah, great round there by Tornado. Thought they played fantastically. They still won despite losing a tier 10 tank at the middle, right at the begining.
And that, I think that should say a lot about just how well they traded and how efficiently they did in towards that last round. I mean, here's the thing, right? Luciquel gets himself up on the hill, can spot a lot of Kazna. Now, if you want to deal with the tank up on that damn hill, very, very hard to do. You can either turn your turret around and try and fire towards Luciquel, who was constantly blinking in and out of vision, who was sitting up on the top of the hill. There are some little bowls in the hill as well that makes it actually hard to fire at you from the bottom. If Kazna crew wants to kill Luciquel, they either try and shoot him from a distance or commit a tank to him, just like Luciquel did to Isne actually in the first round. Problem is, when Tornado Rocks are pushed up to the train line, the shot towards the hill is so easy to make. It's very, very dangerous for you in vision of the enemy to drive up a hill. Slows you up a heck of a lot.
Yep.
Takes a long time to get up there and makes you just a bleeding obvious target for the enemy. So Kazna crew are quite torn. It's like, yes, we need to deal with this, but we now have so much pressure being put on us from the front side that we would really be, you know, making targets of ourselves to try and go and deal with this. So,
or even if you just turn your turret at the end of the day, if you aim towards Lucique on the hill, then Tornado will see that the rest of the tanks behind that train line and they'll peek up and shoot you. So even though Lucique is potentially in the open, which he probably was from most angles, because that hill is not a safe haven, you're still going to get shot because when you turn your turret, it's going to be game over. So yeah, I mean, Kazna should have been a little bit more aggressive and try and kept Tornado at bay there, take down the T110s. But I mean, this is a Tornado we like to see, right? We love to see the comebacks from them. And so far this season, we haven't seen them. And as I said, they need to be winning against Kazna crew if they actually want to have a chance of being a top 2, top 3 team this season towards the end of the season. So, like, you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to compare the top teams, you know, going for that 4th place, top 4 finish, top 3 finish, top 2 finish, whatever you like. You go into a mini league, whichever teams won against the other teams, against another team, if they're both on the same points, will go through as the highest seeded team. So that's the kind of way these teams are looking at it as well.
Tornado Rocks there with quite a disappointing game against Ding, obviously, last week. I've already got the same amount of rounds now that they had in that particular game. And I said at the start of the show, I said, look, those that know Kazna crew, have been following for quite a while, or their fans, know that sometimes it's a bit of a dice roll. Sometimes it can be a bit rough. To this day, so far in the season, Kazna Crew obviously undefeated, 4 wins and 0 losses, but we know what they were like last season. We saw some games that they dropped or got very, very close to dropping that they probably shouldn't have done. So we really, it's hard to say what to expect from them. And I honestly really thought that Prohorovka would be a draw card for Kazna. Now, onto Himmelsdorf, obviously being our next map, as it said in that overlay. It used to be Kazna Crew's nightmare. They've made it work for them, but just how well have they made it work for them here going up against Rox, who just love this map?
Well, we've only seen it once this season, and it was a good performance, but it's not exactly like you're going against Tornado Rox, who's obviously one of those top Russian-speaking teams who have been, playing Himmelsdorf since day one. They've been amazing at Himmelsdorf. The execution is perfect. Their game style in general suits them down to a T.
Yep.
When Prokhorov, obviously Kazna Crew's map, they were playing their own tactics. They knew what they want to do. Now this is Tornado's playing ground, and this is the thing. As I said, we've seen Tornado up to this point in the season not playing very well at all. Now they're playing a completely different kind of game against Kazna Crew with the individual plays we've seen, like a Continental Rumble style where they're just dominant, and whatever results they've had up until this point are almost negated because this seems like a different Tornado.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and for that reason as well, making predictions is a little bit hard to do. But one thing about these two teams that it definitely looks like that Kazna Crew are actually being the ones that are trying to make something happen. Okay, so they're going for some strategies. They're trying to come forward. Tornado Rox, and both of those last 2 rounds were forced to play reactively. They were forced to see and to read into what Kazna Crew were doing and then to respond accordingly. I mean, if you think of the first round, it was Kazna Crew that set the bait, that laid the trap there with FKK Schnitzel on the cap. Tornado Rox went for that one, and then they had to survive in a situation that was potentially quite difficult for them because obviously they didn't really have the momentum or the first strike, as you could say, but they still managed to grind it out. They still managed to make good trades and clever peaks, and the same could be said of this one, that last round as well. Kazna Crew pushed forward, put FKK straight down the middle. I don't know why it's always him that they're just sort of throwing into the mix here, but they're just trying to get some value out of that RU251. And then they sort of, Kazna Crew backed off towards the other side of the map, and then Tornado sort of adapted to that and pushed up here. So it definitely seems like Kazna Crew maybe just getting a bit ahead of themselves with some of these things. Yeah,
it's a complicated tactic with a lot of different aspects, and you need to be able to execute it perfectly. You need to have all your pieces in the right places. So I think that's where Kazna Crew struggled. It was a complicated tactic, and Tornado Rox just played very, very well to beat it.
Yes, and of course in Melee, Kazna Crew not off to a great start here. Tornado with the first 2 rounds there on Prohorovka. Very, very quickly before we jump into this one here, what are your impressions and maybe how's the vote even going?
Well, the vote is clearly in favor of Kazna Crew with a solid 81%. It's not over yet. You can still vote until the second map ends, which is in 2 rounds. So people head over to our Facebook page and get involved. And yes, 81% speaks for itself, right?
Yeah, I just love that up on top of the screen it says Kazna 13%, Rox 37%. So on the screen, obviously that's not updated because that doesn't even add up to 100, but 81 to 19%.
What I say is right. Yeah. Don't worry, people.
All right. Well, that's good. We'll jump into the game now as well because they're already loading in and we don't want to miss the start of Himmelsdorf here as well. But still in favour of Kazna Crew pretty heavily here. Let's see if they can maybe live up to everyone's expectations. Let's jump in to Himmelsdorf, and like we saw on that tank pick graphic, it's Kazna Crew going for what we start to think is the standard brawling composition. Triple FE215, double 50B, and an IS-7 just for that added beastliness.
Exactly, the IS-7's there as an assault tank. It's there to absorb damage and side scrape and do all of those wonderful bounces which you don't know how you manage to bounce. So it looks like Tornado at the beginning, 8-line push. The IS-7's on the left side of the track, so it isn't going to go hull down. You can see Tornado's clearly waiting for that cross shot there. But Hyber's just spotted basically the whole of Tornado Rox in that 8-line. But it doesn't really matter. It's not an unusual position for teams to go at the beginning, and I think Tornado were going for that one-shot thing they did the other day, a couple of weeks back, onto the IS-3. It might have been 20, I think it was Tornado at least. And the only difference is they got the 50B, I believe, on that right side, but standard start here for Kazna Crew.
Super standard, yeah.
Pretty normal start here from Tornado as well.
All right, well, off camera, you guys didn't get to see it, but I saw it on screen. Vorsen actually bounced a shot off the back of positive, so he accidentally shot his own teammate for God knows what reason. But still, no damage done, so no harm done, of course, in the end. There's Dido that actually taking already a fairly big hit here. I think it was probably also him going in towards Nexus with some damage. So that 110E4 up in a nice little vantage point there as well as a tank destroyer that actually has a rotating turret is a rare enough thing in itself. And Dido trying to use that to its greatest effect now, a bit more flexibility. Now, Hyber, why is he taking damage from this position here? I find it quite surprising to see that the FV could cause so much punishment to that IS-7 that sort of dug in that corner.
Pretty lucky shot, actually.
Was it through the building?
No. It was through the building, and it just hit the top side of that spaced armor. And obviously it's APCR, so it didn't have any particular problems penetrating. So it was a really nice little shot by Dido there, I believe.
Like it's
not Dido, by was it the Annihilator?
Yes, I think so. Or yes, it was the Annihilator. That's a real hairline shot that he's making there through the gap in the building. Maybe we'll cut back to a little bit later on to show you. But here's the Armageddon now as well. Come off the hill. Slowly just checking this 8 line as well, because he's not really sure, I think, of where Kazna may have set up on the D line or even back towards the north side of the map. You can already see the Kazna crew have started to flex their 215Bs back towards the north as well and just prepare for what may be an impending push up the 8 line and Sundry. You can see that Armageddon as well is also just trying to pave the way, I guess, for a good 8 line push here by gaining some information and just figuring out if there actually are any Kazna crew tanks in that northern part of that road. Is positive Dynamo and Vorsen now as well. Looks like it might even be a hill push here. Maybe not feeling super confident about going that 8 line. They want to egress towards the north, but from a safer route, and that would mean they need to go up the hill.
Exactly. They can't afford to take a lot of damage on the cross. Some damage just going towards Dido, but of course that means that Tornado Rocks knows where Kazna crew is, and if they get the tanks up onto the hill and down the 0 line as quickly as possible, they will be in towards cap number 2 very quickly. And with the pressure from that AMX 3090 in the cap, with the Annihilator and Dynamo chasing up their heels as they do head back to the 1 to 3 line, it might just catch Kazna crew kind of in that awkward position where they're halfway between the cap, but they're having to fight off the damage. And they also have to get the decap and get control of that base as well.
So if Tornado Rocks were to hit Kazna crew's base in the north with the tanks that they're sending there now, that's 3 FV215Bs and 1 AMX 50B of Luciquel, plus, of course, the Armageddon on the 3090. So that is essentially an overmatch, as Kazna crew have only really got those 3 FV215Bs and a 3090 kept back. A little bit of a stronger force for Tornado. The difference being that Tornado obviously have to push towards them now. You can see in, FKK Schnitzel here as well, pushing out wide, but also the Armageddon on the other 3090 has gone all the way up to A8 on that minimap. So he can spot that corner. He's just checking it to see maybe if that IS-7 of Hyber has actually moved back towards the cap and is just trying to hang around on that side. So far, he's gained no information. So, Tornado Rocks, they push forward.
Yeah, so, I mean, Kazna must know at this point where Tornado are, or roughly where they are, because with Kazna crew up that G line, they can see that the FVs are not there, and with the FV215B on that cross, they must see that they haven't gone up the D line as well. So Kazna crew probably aware of the AMX 3090 heading up the hill, but of course it's been spotted, so this needs to be really quick from Kazna, otherwise Vetso and Yizny are going to get taken down at lightning speed.
Armageddon has already made his way on towards the cap as well, just from the top road there. So hard, I think, for Isne and Vetso to get a really good shot on him. In fact, maybe not even a shot at all, the way that they're set up here. Damage being traded as Vorsen does come across the face, and Dynamo is going to miss his shot towards Isne. Positive actually bounces his as well. Luciquel's going to stay back, and it might be his undoing as he does take one hit already in that 50B. And Kazna now have to respond quickly, and to the point that Hyber is crossing the middle of the map in that IS-7. But no, Tornado Rocks could flex on towards him. They could have an overmatch here. They could have 3 FV215Bs or 4 of them on top of that one IS-7. Hyber has to be careful about how far forward he wants to go.
Exactly. This is going to be the overmatch from Tornado Rocks. Very simple stuff. Trying to take down that IS-7. Hyber has to survive as long as he can.
I don't know how easy that's going to be, really. Trying to face the front of his tank forward, get a little bit of angle on it, but all these shots are connecting, and he's down to a 1 shot now. The Annihilator will have the finish in positive, and FC Dynamo know that they could just back off and focus on the next part of the agenda. Isne crossing across there as well. I think that was Dido that just given a big smack around the ears. About 800 damage being shaved off of his tank. He fancies to go against the Armageddon, and of course it's a massive advantage for Isne in that battle, as he has good armor and will be able to bounce some of those shots coming in, as you can see them dinging harmlessly off the armor of the 215B.
Yeah, Yizny's actually ammo-racked again, so very unlucky for Kazna crew at this point in time. That's about a 16-second reload for 390. Yeah, I think he already used his Amarak to try and get rid of one of those perma-tracks he could have got in, but still Kazna are quite far ahead at this point in terms of HP. The Armageddon gets taken now, and Diodor is there on his own on a one-shot.
Diodor doing some decent damage this round, but eventually he's going to be caught out and surrounded by Kazna crew. And there is Stefan. He's going to get involved as well. FC Dynamo taking a heck of a lot of damage, and Vetso as well. Look how surrounded Tornado Rocks are on this map. Even Nexus is going to get up behind them as well. From every direction, shots are raining in towards Tornado Rocks, and there's only so long that they can stand up to this kind of punishment for. It looks like they'll head south, try and punch through Nexus. They've taken him out now. Now their attention might just go back towards Vetso and the rest of Kazna crew. Stefan is on reload. Vetso does take a bit of a hit there as well, and Eurofish is almost off reload, and he's very, very healthy. For a 50B, mid to late round to still be so healthy, Stefan and Eurofish are going to bring so much pain to Tornado Rocks.
Yeah, this is game over. Positive just remains in the FV215B. Kazna crew on the defensive side, so of course they don't have to worry about that timer running out and Positive running away. And of course FKK Schnitzel is still alive, the fastest tank here on the battlefield. So Stefan will get the damage here. Won't take down Positive, of course, but we'll bring him to a one-shot almost, let's say a three-shot. And yeah, it's going to be game over for sure.
Not bad from Positive there as well. Maybe an example for a lot of players at home to look to. Although he's forced in full-scale retreat, and let's not even consider the fact that he's already lost the game. He's got his turret face backwards. He's still taking shots as he tries to increase the difference between him and the enemy. Look how low Stefan is after that onslaught. Stefan wants to simulate the fact that he actually has ammo, but I think Positive knows now that the 50B is on reload and he can't get the finish as well. 44 health left. Positive will try and fight towards Eurofish. There is two 50Bs with no ammo left, but there it is. Finally, the finish does come in for Kazna crew there as well. And a good showing here on Himmelsdorf. I mean, they reacted well to what Tornado were trying to do. It wasn't exactly the fastest push from Tornado, though.
No, I thought obviously they were trying to get that overmatch onto Hyber. They saw him go through the middle, but I think that probably gave away the game for them because they got into bad positions. It allowed Kazna crew to come off the hill basically, you know, scot-free. There's nothing Tornado could do, and Kazna crew going forwards, they're taking down the MX-3090. Dido already got taken down low because of some previous damage he had taken. So, you know, that big T110E4, something you want to be, you know, being a bit of a pain to take down was pretty easy in the end. I think even the MX-3090 did it. Yeah, Kazna crew could charge through, take care of the cap, take care of those tanks that are trying to flex back towards that hill push, and you know, finish the game off pretty easily, I have to say. And it was a brave move there from Kazna because they had the MX-3090 in the hill, like a lot of teams do, but then sending the 250Bs, which take, let's say, a minute and a half, 2 minutes to do that whole left side to right side to up the hill to down the hill. That's pretty brave stuff, and I think Tornado should, if they had known that 50Bs were going up the hill, maybe have just gone straight into that cap and set up more defensive positions to take down, you know, Yizny and Vetso and those two FV215Bs first.
Now let's talk about Hyber getting caught out there, because when we saw it, we said, well, you know, why so far forward is Hyber? Like, this is going to undoubtedly attract some attention. I mean, no, but you also did mention that maybe Rox gave away the game by going for that push. Were they correct to try and pick off Hyber on his own? Was that the mistake, or was it afterwards where they messed up?
I think it was a bit of a mistake. I mean, we've seen a lot of teams win by holding down the fort on the hill. I mean, Hyber's in the middle, which is an okay position, but it's not exactly game-breaking.
Sure.
And so that IS-7, it's such a low tank that you can't actually shoot through those buildings, those windows in the buildings. So that's definitely something which they should have probably considered. But I mean, you know, it was such a risky move from Kazna. They're really gambling everything here with the 50Bs up the hill. So maybe, you know, Tornado Rocks, they played the odds game, they saw a tank on its own, and they just tried to take it down. And I guess they got to have a bit of their own medicines from Prokhorovka, because as we see it in 768, it's so much about the kills these days, so much about coming back from deficits, that even losing a tier 10 tank, it's not even that much of a big deal anymore.
Well, again for Tornado Rocks is 4-2-1-5Bs being brought into the mix, and Kazna crew have an extra IS-7 in their lineup as well. Still with 250Bs, so that means obviously one less FV215B for those of you that are following along at home. FKK Schnitzel, an early push here for him on that 1390 to just see if Tornado Rocks actually have the inclination to go for that strong Western presence early in the round, but they've done nothing of the sort. This should be ringing alarm bells for Kazna. This is maybe an unexpected maneuver here for in terms of what Tornado Rocks are trying to do. They want to force this hill, by the looks of things at least. Diodor does spot Vetso, or at least they I don't think he spots him. Yeah, surely. Now they've seen each other. Diador going to go coming up the hill there as well. He'll have to trade into Vetso now as well. But he doesn't know what else is up on the hill. He's nervous. He doesn't really know if he wants to take a fight here as well. Stefan is close by, and he'll be able to put some shots in. And Kazna crew have already maybe staked their claim towards his hill. I mean, do you push this as Tornado, or do you just give it up?
Well, there's 3 versus 1, so technically Tornado could push it. But with those AMX 50Bs, they're going to lose so much HP for that hill that it would maybe not be a worthwhile trade. But I think if they do manage to do it, it's going to be big trouble for those 50Bs, and then they will have the hill. Of course, Kazna crew is going to be thinking, we need to be as far back as possible. We're still spotting what's pushing up, and now Stefan and Vetso will just run away from the hill, surely. But they only spot 2. They don't see Lucic, and that's big trouble for them.
Yeah, they don't know there's an extra 50B there as well. It might bait them into taking an unwise fight, but it does look like those two 50Bs are trying to get the heck out of dodge straight down that hill here as well. Diador might just have a cheeky corner shot of Stefan. No, he does manage to just get away here. Now note this, he goes towards the ledge. Diador knows that those tanks have to actually cross his line of sight here if they do come down. Now they'll expose themselves. Not quite the gun depression Diador would like there, and he does take a bit of a hit from an FV215B. He can't even fire at those tanks down there because Kazna crew, they've covered themselves well with those 215s in the distance. They can cover the retreat, I guess, of those 50Bs.
I mean, this is so interesting. This is what I love about Himmelsdorf. There's fights on every single corner. You can also see the Kazna crew have got themselves into that western cap. The AMX-39, he's the only one who's really holding down that fort, so of course Kazna has to take it out as quickly as possible. And you've got to push up that 8 line. Kazna are ahead in terms of hit points there because Positive went low, and the two 50Bs are there. But still, Vetso takes so much damage, he has to reverse, and Nexus has to get in position from the right side. And as soon as Tornado can get those tanks down south into good fighting positions, it surely will be game over.
Kazna crew may have fallen into a trap here, pushing towards this D line. There are tanks coming from the 8 line, and they've run into a steel wall here as well. The Annihilator takes down Vetso, and Stefan is looking a little bit worse for wear. Hybrid now taking some shots in the back from the 50Bs, pushing down and off the hill, and Kazna crew just trying to keep it all together right now. They did go straight in towards that trap, and you can see the cap is underway, but it's being reset. Armageddon keeping Kazna on their toes, and Diador now just pushes out. He has shots straight towards his cap. Easy resets, or easy as you like. There is the reset. Isne and FKK Schnitzel forced to abandon that one there as well as that 39. He's going very low, and Kazna crew are being beaten around the face.
Yeah, I mean, FKK Schnitzel didn't realize he was actually in a position where he could get shot from multiple sides, of course, from that AMX-50B, and he went down.
Dear.
So the Armageddon didn't even fall. And this is still a great game here for Tornado Rocks. They're significantly ahead.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. They're going to go straight towards Nexus and clean him up. Vorsen as well, just extending enough to pick up Stefan, and it is Isne, the last man standing. He was lucky enough not to take damage from the shot he received. It was absorbed by his tracks, but he does have to deal with 5 tanks, and Diador will be his first assailant. A couple shots towards him will take him out, but the problem is that there are many more where he came from, and Diador just wants to inflict as much damage as he can right now because he knows, and so do Tornado Rocks, that they're going to go up 3-1 after this.
Yeah, this is going to be a good round here. I mean, a 1-1 on Himmelsdorf for sure. Such a good game from Tornado. I thought they really got their act together, and I got a feeling that Kazna crew are really biting off too much for them to chew, because they seem to be trying really complex things and not really managing to execute them properly, or just being caught out 5 or 10 seconds too early by the pure speed, aggression, and tactical prowess of Tornado.
Kazna crew opting for those more intricate strategies here, but is it wise really to try and apply that to a team that actually is going to be able to put a spanner in the works? Tornado Rocks is so strong fundamentally that this is a team that can respond to any of the weird, wild and wacky that Kazna might try and throw at them, and this is a great example. Tornado Rocks, they're just coming forward themselves here and making things happen. Isne set on fire as well, and he is going to go up in flames as Tornado Rocks there with about 4k hit points to finish things off, and a convincing victory again for the Russian-speaking lineup. Let's break it down, man. I mean, we saw those 50Bs go towards the hill from Kazna crew, and they were challenged already as Diador had pushed his way up. Luciquel was there as well. For Kazna crew, was it the correct decision, do you think, to leave that hill?
Yeah, it was the correct decision. I mean, they would have gambled if they'd stayed on here with a 2 versus 2 situation. Of course, it's 3 versus 2. The 50Bs would have gone down pretty quickly to those 2 FV215Bs and the 50. So Kazna had to get off there. The problem was that they weren't quite quick enough to push up that 8 line. They hesitated a little bit, which allowed those 50Bs and the FV215B to come off the hill from Tornado, get some great damage towards Hyber, who was in the middle of that IS-7, and the other tanks pushing up the 8 line. And some bad timing. Nexus wasn't on the D line to shoot the tanks in the middle. And, Kazna wanted to take those tanks down as quickly as possible. And they just didn't do it. Those were still alive at the end of the match, basically. Other problems, the Armageddon in his AMX 1390 wasn't taken down by FKK. That should have happened straight away. And then when he did engage him, the 50B behind was still in position to shoot him. So, yeah, I thought just like 10 or 15 seconds more and Kazna would have been safe behind buildings and getting over matches in this map. But that just simply didn't happen. I mean, you can see Positive had a great game here with 3.3k. We had Stefan with 2.8k. But for instance, Hyber in the middle, he got caught out. Eurofish as well in the I7, he got caught out with only 555 and 1081 damage apiece. So, yeah, just so many different things happening. Like we'd like to see Himmelsdorf, but Tornado Rocks just playing more simple tactics and working out very well.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, throughout this game, Tornado Rocks, for the most part, have actually been able to have the luxury of being reactive and actually having time or giving themselves time to respond to the pushes that Kazna Crew have been trying to make and then make the correct decisions based on that one. I thought that one, honestly, that one defensive round from Kazna Crew was excellent. But Tornado Rocks this time, they took the momentum, or they took the ability away from Kazna Crew to be proactive. They chased him off the hill. And those 50Bs, instead of maybe going back towards the south side of the map or safer territory, wanted to barrel down the 8 line, hoping that there'd be some support from the IS-7s, but they were completely and utterly caught out here. I mean, Melly, and this is definitely not really proceeding the way that we really thought it would, Ollie, I think we'd have to say.
Me neither,
Kazna Crew, with their record so far, looking good. Tornado Rocks, though, 3-1 up already. It's a commanding lead.
Definitely, and the community is still standing strong behind Kazna Crew with 79% in total. The vote is over now. People, the next vote will be up in a few minutes, so don't worry. There are still two more times left of your chance of winning bonus codes. And if we have a closer look on the exact score lines that have been predicted, they all revolve around 5-3. So maybe there will be a great comeback from Kazna's side. Nobody knows. The community is right most of the time at least. And well, if you have anything left to say regarding this match, head over to Twitter and use the hashtag WGLEU to get involved and tell me your predictions over there as well. So, and also search for that very hashtag to see what fellow tankies are talking about, maybe some discussions to get involved. And of course, you're always invited to join us in Twitch chat. We have awesome mods that keep it clean in there. And it's actually a nice atmosphere. Helpful people explaining the game if you don't know it.
I like how much they're good. They are good value. So, guys, yeah, do that. I mean, we definitely want to hear your thoughts about this one, especially because this is one of those matches that is hard to predict, as well. And, if there was anyone out there that did actually predict Tornado Rocks to be winning in this fashion, I'd love to hear from you as well as why you maybe thought that, because we're definitely a little bit baffled right now. But, Oliver, this is World of Tanks, bro. This is kind of how it is and kind of how it always has been. Yep. And Tornado Rocks now as well, definitely looking to have improved. We're going to have the next map just around the corner here, guys, as well. It's going to be Mines, as we do load into this one now. And here are your tanks. 3 E50s here for Tornado Rocks. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, so obviously going for that frontal protection, the E50M, with a very, very strong frontal glaciers. A lot of horsepower to weight ratio, so you can get good rams, which is obviously, reasonably important on Mines. But we've seen it on Cliff, plenty of times before. We've seen E50s, for instance, being picked out by out of range on this map. But so many E50Ms shows us they've got a specific tactic in mind.
Like you said, that frontal armor, very, very important here. Let's see. Let's just see now, of course, as they're going to push from the south side of the map. Of course, in the north is Kazna Crew in red. They will be attacking on this particular half. And we do see it's a double 50B, double object 140, double 54, and a bat chat to round out that composition. And that's Eurofish, of course, going towards the kill. And yes, he won't be loaded yet, so you don't expect him to fire anything. Nor will Diodor, by the way, as well. But this is smart, and this is what Kazna Crew have done in the past. Diodor and Luciquel both going up towards the hill, but that's a lot of damage that's been sustained so far by Tornado Rocks to push 2 tanks up on towards the hill. And they've already lost 1. Diodor down to 60% of his health, and Eurofish somehow survived the onslaught.
You can never count Tornado out at this point in time. Yeah, okay, they've lost an RU-251, but the exchanges are still going well, and Didor's still going to be able to hold down Eurofish in that bat chat as he is low HP, and Eurofish just staying alive by a small margin, but Vorstick going very low. Also Amaranth in that 50B, and as long as Eurofish can stay alive for long enough, it should just be about okay for Kazna crew. But again, you can see these exchanges are so good here for Tornado Rocks.
Z50M's now really going to have to start coming into their own and getting some good bounces from the front. But SC Dynamo takes a hit, and so does Armageddon. Positive in the 50B is set up behind the rock as well, in a position to take good shots, and Isne wins out that little trade with the Annihilator as well. He bounces one, he does damage towards that 50B, and Vetso now as well, with 3 in the chamber. Stefan has 4, and there are shots coming in from the side up on the hill as well. That, of course, is Eurofish in the bat chat, but Didor trying to do the same thing here from here as well, and he seems to be having a lot more success. Although Positive is a one-shot and finally drops, Didor has been able to wreak havoc from that hillside now. Tornado Rocks, though, are still behind in health points. This is going to go down to the wire.
Unbelievable stuff. You can see how much armor these E50Ms have. They're really just punishing Kazna crew for that push at the beginning, but Kazna's still up in HP, and the fact that Didor's now on reload in that bat chat just put Kazna crew ahead in this match.
I see that Isne and Armageddon now just trying to do the dance of death right now, and Dynamo and Vorsen are being forced right back out of this one. Vorsen, of course, on reload and a one-shot. Not a great combination of factors to be considering. And the health is very, very even, but that 50B is a non-factor right now. But Didor, he's going to be able to do so much work from the back once he gets there. They're all so low, these Kazna crew tanks, and he's off reload. He's now going to start putting the shots in. FKK Schnitzel falls. Vetso now goes towards a one-shot. They're looking for targets as well, but Vetso, he himself is on reload. And the Nexus, of course, on Object 140, he is also very low. Didor cleans up here as well. I see how this one plays out. Beautiful stuff from that man as well. Picked his moment absolutely perfectly. And Nexus will fall as well. Tornado Rocks, that is how you play some Brawl tanks on the hill.
I mean, amazing stuff from Tornado. Those E50s just bounced so many shells. So many shells also missed from Kazna crew. They were bouncing things left, right, and center. Shells were going into the dust. And that's the thing. I mean, Kazna were always on a timer there. As soon as Didor came off reload, with the kind of damage Tornado were doing when Kazna pushed forwards, he could just get that 2K, 5-clip shells, go off the hill, take down the Kazna crew tanks. So it was either kill all the tanks and be in like a 2 versus 3 situation, or no, a 3 versus 1 situation, but with tanks from multiple angles, or just be slightly too slow, miss a couple of shells, and have Didor just find you a nice one big clump and take you down.
Autoloaders, you see the dynamic they really bring to the game. Something just a little bit different, and of course in Vorsen's case, sometimes a little bit of a struggle, of course, as he was on one of those 50Ms forced right out back. Oh, sorry, 50B, sorry. But really, I mean, Didor, beautiful stuff from him. Actually only did 1,500 damage for the game.
4 kills, though.
Yeah, exactly. So that is the role, of course, of those autoloaders, though. It's to come in as a second line.
Yeah. You're
not supposed to be absorbing damage. You're not supposed to be a frontline tank at all. You come in as a flanker. You get the finishes, kind of like a quintessential assassin tank. And he's done it beautifully. And the fact that he managed to get 4 kills with such a little amount of damage does say that Tornado Rocks already got very close, already traded damage very, very well. And it was just perfect to have Didor there to be able to get the finish.
Yeah, and those 50Bs of Kazna crew, because of that 25 seconds reload, they just couldn't get in the position right at the right time. And you see the Annihilator, for instance, in the E50M behind that rock, just staying alive, getting good damage across, exchanging well, was the highest damage dealer there, and played very well by him, I have to say. But I thought, it came down to Kazna deciding to push across whilst Didor was on reload, and just receiving so much damage that it was always going to come down to that situation. It was very, very hard for them to sustain through that bat chat damage. And I think they probably should have been a little bit more patient, try and exchange on the hill like they have been throughout the whole season, and not go for a full-on push across with those MX50Bs even.
I mean, quickly before we jump into this next one, the E50Ms there as well. Really think made a big difference, them bringing those instead of, an Object 140? Do you really think they justified their position, or was it just another mid-range, medium tank to do damage?
I thought they did. I mean, they bounced about 700, 800 damage, which makes a pretty big difference, considering basically you don't get any bounces in this kind of match. And they were so quick. I mean, it's one of the most accurate tank in the game, and most accurate tanks in the game. Very easy to snapshot. It's like a laser pointer. So, yeah, I think it worked out well. I mean, it could have been any other tank which could be in those positions. But I think the size, the HP. I mean, it's got the same HP as a heavy tank. just managed to survive long enough. It's just about a survival game there for Tornado, and they're playing a superb match right now.
This is positive now, trying to move into position. Not really wanting to commit towards a hill here, and in fact, Kazna Crew, as the defending team, actually get to take control of this one. How interesting, Tornado not bothering, because of course they have other plans. They have big plans for this capture point number 2. And Kazna have nothing sitting back on the K line, nothing back towards their side of the map. So this is Tornado Rocks. They can swing around or just sit 3 tanks on this cap and just count that one down. Or they go for the fight. It might look like that is the case. Kazna Crew look a little bit split, whereas Tornado Rocks all as a unit.
Yezny also just received some fall damage. That tells me straight away that Kazna's not really playing that well. And to be fair, after that first round here on Prokhorovka, in the first map we saw in this series, I must admit Kazna's just have the right idea, but the individual performances just haven't been there. The bounces have been left, right, and center, and 7 seconds until we have Tornado picking up the match.
Speaking of right idea, this is an absolute brilliant strategy from Tornado Rocks. Look at the pressure they've been able to apply to Kazna Crew. They forced them to push out towards this eastern side of the map, and Nexus is being punished for it. Look at that, getting taken down, of course, without even getting in position. Caught out in the open with his pants down. Here comes Stefan as well, around the corner. Bounces a shot off the front of Orson as well, and Kazna Crew are just languishing right now. Sure, they got the reset, but look at what they've paid for it. Would have been cheaper to give up the son of their firstborns, but no, it's going to be Tornado Rocks to steal this one away. Eurofish and Stefan have to backtrack a little bit, and FKK up on the hill. 5 tanks left for Kazna, and they're looking ragged.
Yeah, this is game over right now. I love the difference here for Tornado Rocks, just pushing 2 tanks into the cap. It's not something we've seen before on such an extent. Normally we see like 1 IS-7 in there, but this was fantastic work here from Tornado.
Isne finally gets himself up in towards that K4 position, but it's a little bit too little too late as Tornado Rocks, the main phalanx, is going to be pushing forward to take down Stefan and FKK Schnitzel. I mean, Isne, all he can really do is look on in horror, I guess, as his team falls apart. At least 2 kills coming in from Kazna there, but it's too little too late. Stefan is on reload, and will have to just wait his time now, as well as FKK. He's going to be the new focus, and it is all but done. As Stefan falls, FKK Schnitzel does fall. That's an overcooked Schnitzel if I've ever seen one. And Isne right up the back here as well. Just the one shot for him, and he will fall. And this is, Oliver, the start of a big upset here, really. Who would have thought? 5-1 to Tornado Rocks over Kazna Crew, a team coasting through their first few games. Looks like a rude awakening for that crew.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Kazna Crew, they obviously, had a pretty easy start to their season. Synergy maybe tested them a little bit, but other than that, they've been pretty easy games. Tornado Rocks, I think, underestimating a lot of the teams.
Yep.
Finally put some work in on this matchup and managed to settle the score a little bit against Kazna, but I mean, it just went from bad to worse. At the beginning of the match, we had those first 2 rounds in Prokhorovka where Kazna Crew were clearly quite far ahead in the rounds, and then through them. And then from there, I mean, it was like a slippery slope, right? Kazna just started playing badly individually. Timings were off. Their tactics were being executed poorly. And I just felt like, it's classic Kazna Crew. Like when they were playing against Penta Sports, for instance, in that pre-playoffs.
Yes, very similar.
Like they have a good tactic, they play it, they screw up, and then things just could start to, go badly for them. But really good play by Tornado Rocks. They sucked up until this point, and then they finally show themselves to be one of the best teams in Europe and, put good 3 points on the board. And this is the kind of win they really need. As I said, at the end of the season where it's going to be Wombats, it's going to be Kazna, it's going to be Penta, it's going to be Tornado at the top of that leaderboard. Those wins against those other teams make a big difference.
Absolutely. Tornado Rocks, I mean, have definitely redeemed themselves from last week. It's funny how you can go from dubious, inconsistent team of very good players to, they're one of the best in the league again. Brilliant.
Yeah.
After one game. I mean, they send a strong message, of course, with a win like that over Kazna Crew, who looked like they wanted to play Tornado Rocks at their own game and just were a little bit outmatched, of course, in this case. Melly, 5-1. Kazna Crew falling down here to Tornado Rocks here. I mean, credit, though, to Tornado. It was an impressive game from them.
Absolutely, and I almost would have, before the game, said that it's going the other way around. Well,
a lot of people would
compare Tornado's past performance and Kazna's past performance, of course. But people, this is one of the rare moments where you guys at home were actually wrong. So the vote ended with 77%, and I haven't checked if anyone got it right. I checked 20 minutes ago, and no one did predict the 5-1 ending in favor of Tornado. I will see that later, but thank you for getting involved in this one. The next vote is already up, so head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU, and vote for your favorite team in the next matchup, which is Mitch and Ollie telling you about in like 30 seconds. And of course, follow us on Twitter at WGLEU.
Thank you very much, Millie. And as you did say, it's going to be Strong Siema going up against Ding in this next game, who are just flying high, of course, after pretty much deconstructing Tornado Rocks in that last week. Strong Siema, not so strong at all.
No, I mean, they've had the worst start to the season we basically have ever seen.
Yep.
5 matches in a row, completely lost. They played okay last time we saw them, but they really need to step up their game if they want to beat a team like Ding, who, of course, their previous match was against Tornado and they won 5-3.
All right, folks, so that one is just around the corner. Of course, Game 2 of Week 5 will be underway shortly. We're going to go to a break, though, as well, and get geared up for that one. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Game 2 right after this.